What is going on, everybody? It's your boy NothingButSkillz, and today we're going to be talking about the Division 2 raid build that I think most of you guys will take advantage of once you guys see my breakdown. So we're going to get into this video. If you want to see any gameplay with this, I'll be having my gameplay from the raid beating Boss 1, Boss 2, and Boss 3 up shortly. Boss 1 is up, so by the time this video comes up, Boss 2 might already be up. If not, it will be up shortly after. So there's no reason for me to put gameplay. As you guys can see, this build is very effective in the raid. So let's get into it. So for my build, I am running 276,000 armor, 132,000 health, and 639 skill power. My stats are 4 offensive, 11 defensive, and 3 skill power. Now I am running 3 LMGs, and this is on console, but I've seen a lot of the guys who've broken the record for the PC side, and they were running LMGs too, so this could work on both. But I did run this on the console side, so for all of you console guys who are looking for a build that will be specifically a little bit better for you guys, this will probably be for you. So I am running Demolitionist, as I think it works great, and of course that's going to give you a boost to your LMG. Now my LMG is going to be hitting for 31,000 base damage. The RPM on this is 550 because I do have a leg runner. My magazine size, look at that, 135 because of the magazine mod that I have on here. Now on all LMGs, you want to get unhinged, receive 20% weapon damage at the cost of negative 25% weapon handling. You have a leg runner, you always want that on your LMG. That's going to give you 10% rate of fire. Then we have Everlasting. While holstered and in cover, this weapon regenerates 2 ammo every 5 seconds. So Everlasting you don't have to worry about, but that's a pretty cool one. Now I am running damage to elite sight on here. This is going to give me 8% damage to elites. I'm running a large pouch. That's where I'm getting my plus 35 rounds. An angle grip with 10% stability to help out with that weapon handling. And then I'm running 5% damage to elites on the muzzle because there are a lot of damage to elites in the raid. Now if we get to my secondary, the same thing, exact same weapon. This one's gonna have a little bit less damage because the black markets tend to have a little bit higher rolls, and this one has unhinged, allegro, and then it has rooted instead, but I haven't modded the same exact way, so I'm not gonna break this one down for you. So I'm just running 2 LMGs. When I run out of one, I go to the other one. Now for my sidearm, I am running the double barreled. This has premeditated in it, and if I need to use it, I have it here, right? So this is gonna give me 158,000 damage, and the reason I like running double barrel is because when I fire this off, a talent I have on my holster is gonna let me reload. So we'll talk about that in a second, and it'll reload all the magazines on all of my weapons. Now this one has premeditated, so it's still gonna hit pretty hard, right? Weapon damage is increased for every shell loaded for a maximum of 35%. If all shells are reloaded, then weapon damage is increased by an additional 50%, but for the last 10 seconds. Now this is great. This is definitely a great weapon to have. But the reason why I'm running this one right here, it has double duty on it. While holster reloading from empty gives you 20% of your magazine back as free ammo. Can occur once every 30 seconds. So that's a benefit, right? Especially when you're putting a lot of damage on those elite and named enemies. You want to be able to have that extra 20%. But the reason I am running double barrel is because of the talent I have on my holster, and I'll show you that in a second. But let's get into the mask and we'll break down each piece and work our way around. So for the mask, I am running an RNK mask. This gives me 10% hazard protection. It's great for that burning. You're gonna get burned a lot if you get bleeding. You know, hazard protection is all that. It's all those status effects. So 10% right there. Then I do have that 31% damage to elites. You can get this a lot higher. The highest mask I've gotten is around 42%. I think someone told me they got closer to 50% just on this one roll. So 42% is the highest I've seen, but I've seen people with higher. But this one's only 31%. The health roll is really nice at 21,000. I did roll that over here, and then I have hard hitting on here. So just on this mask, I have 41% damage to elites. If we get into the chest, this is one of my bread and butter chests. I like running this. This is where you guys want to try to get this. Gilligard. Gilligard is amazing. Look, it gives me 5% total armor, and since I'm running 2 pieces of Gilligard, I'm going to get 20% hazard protection. Now that's a total 30% hazard protection, so that helps me, right? That survivability you need. And you'll see that as you guys watch my gameplay from beating all 3 bosses. You'll see that from the raid that you need this. Now the attributes I'm running 23,000 armor. I did modify this one, so I moved it over. I have 478 skill power, and then I have 21,000 health. Now I do need Gilligard because they gave me a lot of defensive rolls, and that lets me hit that 11 defensive because of Unbreakable. When Unbreakable was amazing, the guys that I was always running with, like I didn't have a full squad for each boss. Like I think I only ran with the same 3 guys for all 3 bosses, and there was only 3 of them. The rest we just filled in. We would ask for people, see if anybody wanted to jump in, and we would just explain everything to them. But my guys always had Unbreakable, and it saved their lives. And then if the people that we asked to join, if they could switch to it, they loved it and they started running with it. It's because it almost gives you like an extra life, right? Unbreakable, 70% of max armor is repaired when your armor is depleted. Armor kits you use within the next 7 seconds are not consumed. And that's great. That's really good, right? Because if it breaks and you want to waste the armor kit, you can do it and it's not going to be consumed, right? And then I have 2 defensive mod slots on here. I have one a protocol, so this is going to give me 5,000 health, 4% extra incoming healing, and then 1,300 armor on kill. And then it has a system mod, and this is where you can get those total armor, and total armor is going to help me get that higher. If you look, 276,000 armor, and that's because I have a 3% total armor here. I also have 2,000 armor on kill, and then also 4,000 armor. Now this also has an offense and system mod slot, so I'm getting an additional 4% LMG damage, and then a 1.5 weapon damage, and then also 3% pistol damage. Now if we get into the holster, it has accuracy and headshot damage, so that's going to let me put out a lot more damage if I'm aiming for the head with this build, and then gives you some accuracy using the LMG. And as the LMG is a little bit unstable, this helps out a little bit. Now this has, look at that health roll, 41,000 health. That's just amazing. When I got this to drop for me, I was like, wow. So I put this on, my health's at 132,000. It helps me kind of get around corners, get into cover, stay alive because of that high health. Now I rolled filler up on here because I am running double LMGs, and it helps me out. Reloading from empty reloads all weapons, and this helped me out a lot on Lucy and Buddy, the 3rd boss, and you'll see that video. It helps out. I just fire off my shotgun shells, I reload, and my 2 LMGs are reloaded. Or if I waste the LMG and then I switch to the other LMG and I waste that one, I just reload that one, it reloads everything. So either way you do it, it's still really good, and I really like this talent filler up. I think more people will use it in the future. Now this one does have an offensive proto mod slot. I don't really have a really good one. I mean, I have 2.5 weapon damage on here, so I added that on there, and that gave me a little bit more damage. If we get into the knee pads, this is another piece. The chest and the knee pads are probably the 2 go-to Gila Guard pieces you want to get, because the high defensive rolls that you get on there, and the mod slots that you get. So this one has 8,269 armor. Not the best roll, but I can always improve this. I'm just at this time, I'm not choosing to. And then I have hard hitting on here because I want the extra 10% damage to elites. So then I have 2 mod slots on here. I have the defensive protocol mod slot that's going to give me 6,800 health, and then I have the system mod slot that's going to give me that 1,800 armor, 2,900 armor on kill, but look, and then 3.5% total armor. So when I'm looking for a little bit more DPS, I run with this one because it's going to give me the damage to elites. Now, when I want to have a little bit more survivability, I'll sacrifice that 10% damage to elites. And then the other one I like to run is, let me pull it up for you real quick because I run it on my other build. Right here. So I run this one. So if you look at this one has a better armor rate. So if we compare the two, so this one has 14,000 armor, but it has patience. And what patience does is, after being in cover for 5 seconds, armor repairs for 5% every 1 second. So this is really good for having survivability. But if you want to have one that has a little bit more DPS to help out your team with a little, that 10% damage to elites is going to make a difference. So it just really depends. If you guys need to have a little more survivability for one of the bosses, you can swap it. So that's why I have 2, and then I would swap back and forth between the builds, one with patience and then one with hard hitting. If we get into the gloves have the Raul D holding. This is my second piece. This is where I'm getting the 10% headshot damage. This has 7% LMG damage, which is pretty low. You can get this up to 12%, so that's where I'm a little low. I haven't got a high LMG roll, and I can't really mess with it right now, right? Because I put devastating on here. Now, some people probably say get rid of the devastating, the 5% weapon damage, and then you can put the damage to elites. But since I do use this for another build, I don't want to sacrifice this. But if you want to get that extra damage, something that's going to hit harder on those elites, you can sacrifice this 5% weapon damage right here, and then you can put 10% damage to elites. But anytime you have purple, enemies in the raid, you're not going to be able to do as much damage as I would if I had the 5% weapon damage. So it's a little sacrifice. It just depends on where you want to focus your build. So this is something you guys can change. You can put damage to elites on here if you want. And then the backpack, I have one of the best backpacks I think to run for your LMGs is the Petrov Defense Group. This gives you that flat 10% LMG damage. Now some of you might put it on your chest, but I feel like the backpack is a perfect spot. I always get really good Petrov backpacks. Look, I have 2 skill rolls on here and then 2 defensive rolls, so I get that 9,000 armor, 8,000 health, 161 skill power, 5,000 cooldown reduction. I also have Safeguard on here. Killing target grants 150% bonus to repairing and healing effects for 5 seconds. This can occur every 20 seconds. Now this is good, man. This is one that I would use. 100% one that I think gives you that survivability. And I think that a lot of you guys will enjoy. So if you guys... Now Safeguard is one that I like for that survivability. If you feel like you want to have a little bit more offensive and push your offensive up, then you don't have to worry about being at 4 offensive or less, because Safeguard requires that. But for me personally, I rather have a little bit more survivability during the raid and still be able to put out some decent damage, because I'm putting out a lot of damage even with this build. And I ran this build from 1 to 3, all 3 bosses. I was able to do a lot of damage. I had a lot of my guys run the same exact build, and we were putting out enough damage. So our DPS was enough there. If you want to go a little bit more glass cannon, then you can't run something like Safeguard. Now you have to have hardened on one of your pieces, either your chest or your backpack. So I have mine on my backpack because that's going to push you up to 276,000 armor. But yeah, that is my 6-piece set right there. That is how I'm running it. I pair that up with the chem launcher. I feel like throughout the whole raid, you guys should have a chem launcher. If you want to run a healing drone, you can, but mine, once it went down or it got shot down, then it was worthless. I couldn't heal up. I felt like the chem launcher was a little bit better. And then everybody should be running a revive hive, 100% revive high. This helps out. If you go down, your teammates don't have to worry about picking you up. And then not only that, you can only pick up people a certain amount of times. You have revive tokens in the raid, so that's why everybody's running a revive hive, because if it can pick you up without people having to waste a revive token on you, it helps out. Let's go to the stats so we can see how I'm stacked up, and then you can stack your build against this one. So the weapon damage is 31,000. You guys saw I'm not even stacked any critical chance, so we're not worried about that, and we're not even going to call out the critical damage since I have 0% critical chance. Look at that, 75% headshot damage, so that's good there. I have 10% accuracy, 10% stability. I have 29% all weapon damage, and then I have 36% LMG damage. I have 64% damage to elites, and that drops by 10% if I put patience on, remember. So if you swap that out, that's why you go down a little bit less. But if you want more DPS, 64% damage to elites. I feel like for the raid, 60% and up should be the minimum for everybody on your squad. It's not that hard to get, and you can definitely get way higher and still have a lot of the talents unlocked. Now look, we have 30% hazard protection, and look at that, it gives me 30% bleed resistance, 37% blind death resistance, 50% burn resistance, and that helps out on Lucy and Buddy. If you get to that boss, you'll know why. When I put the video, you'll know why. And then also 30% disorient resistance, 30% disrupt resistance, and 30% shock resistance. But yeah, overall, having 276,000 armor, 132,000 health is amazing, and it helped me out a lot during this raid, and it helped out my clan members who were playing with me. And even when I tried to help out some of the guys we would randomly pick up, because remember, we only had, I want to say, 2 to 3 guys throughout boss 1, boss 2, and boss 3, and the 2 to 3 guys that I had always ran this build, and then everybody else ran something else. Now I had some guys run this build, and they were able to get a lot more damage than me, like almost 5-10k more base damage. So if you get higher rolls, that can improve your build too, right? Like some of my rolls are a little bit low, so if I could get some better offensive rolls, it could change the game, and I could be hitting a lot harder. But for boss 1, boss 2, and boss 3, I think this is an amazing build. Now my build for boss 4, I'm not going to put out till I beat that, and we're almost there. So I am not using this build. I'm using a different build, so we'll see what that build is once I beat it, and then I'll put that out for you, because I don't like putting out any builds unless I'm using it through the bosses. So hopefully if you guys enjoy this build, if you guys put this build together, it will help you guys out in the long run. I just want to say thank you guys again for all the support. If you guys have any questions, use the comment section down below. Smash the thumbs up if you found the video useful. And if you're new to my channel, first time watching a video, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on so when I release a video, you guys get notified. Thank you guys again, and until the next video, nothing but skills out.